All right, it's the joint collaboration, the Megapix podcast, PFT, PM, and Chris Simms Unbuttoned on Peacock and wherever else you find your podcast, presented by Under Armour.
Yes.
Chris has the Under Armour money. I don't.
Boom.
Hey, Under Armour, I'm here too. Hey, sales, I'm here too. All right?
The hell
Let's
with
get on
that
it,
guy.
baby.
The hell with it. Under Armour, the only way is through. The only
Pete,
way to go
Pete.
forward is the hell with PFT and Florio.
I don't want clothes unless the clothes are made of money. Money, money, money. Chandler Jones, money, money, money. All right, let's get to it. Megapix podcast. We're back for week 2. Week 1, we sucked in most categories.
Yeah.
Straight up, 9-7. I win. Woohoo! Straight up, Chris was 7-9. He was also 7-9 against spread. I was a pathetic and miserable do the opposite Costanza style 6-10. But in the most important category, especially since I went 66.6 infinity percent, 2-1, best bets. Oh yeah, and screw the Vikings for keeping me from going 3-0.
Oh, so it was I couldn't remember what your loss was. And and screw my buddy Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers for making me 1-2. I mean, they were up 38-10. I mean, what the hell, Kyle? Hold a freaking lead. Jeez. I mean, that was a heartbreaker. I was sitting there going like, man, I'm looking good. I feel good. And then, I mean, just a disaster there. So that's why I don't gamble right there. That says it all.
Well, the ultimate backdoor cover, the 9-point spread, I think it was 9.5 by the time it closed, and the final score 41-33, despite being down 28.
2-point conversion.
The
Got me.
Lions pulled it off. The 2-point conversion makes the difference. All right, let's get to week 2. It begins Thursday night at FedEx Field. The Giants at the Washington football team. Washington, a 3.5-point favorite with an over-under of 40.5. That's probably the lowest of the week. If not, it's one of the lowest. Chris, who do you like? Do you like Dad's old team, or do you like the team that we both think will win the division?
Well, I mean, I think first off, I do expect it to be a low-scoring, defensive struggle type of football game. That's right off the bat. I think at a base-level conversation, Washington's the more talented football team for sure. Even last year, I know the Giants beat them twice, but you go back and really look at that. The Washington football team really screwed up both games, really handed some bad turnovers to the Giants, 11 short fields, and they got some cheap points off of it that way. I just worry. We talked about this on PFT a little bit. I worry about the Giants' offensive line. Not only pass protecting against that group in Washington, which wasn't good last week against the Chargers. They didn't get around Justin Herbert very much at all, so I think they're going to be pissed off and ready to go. Giants O-line not good in the run game either. Saquon, I think the Giants will keep this close because I think Taylor Heineke, he's going to be getting his feet underneath him too, and I don't expect him to be just hitting on all cylinders. I'm going to go Washington 2017, Mike. How about you?
This is the kind of game that I hate. Now, you're picking the Giants to cover by a half point. You realize that?
I do.
I'm giving you one more chance to change your mind here.
I'm not saying it. I'll listen to you, and then it'll happen, and I'll be pissed that I listened to you. So I'm not going to do that.
I just wanted to make sure.
Right.
I wanted to make sure
Yep.
the combination of New Jersey and Texas may have impaired the math skills. I just want to make sure you understand.
Definitely.
I'm just kidding, New Jersey. I'm not kidding, Texas. All right.
You're funny.
This game is one of those games I hate because every time I come down one way, I start thinking, nah, it's not going to happen. Then I go the other way. It's like, nah. And I'm leaning Washington, and I'm going to stick with Washington.
Okay.
But I keep thinking Daniel Jones is 4-0 all time against Washington. Well, okay, Washington's due to finally beat him then. Short week, quick turnaround. Ron Rivera, veteran coach, plugging in Taylor Heineke, who played well last year in the playoffs and should be ready to go this year. If he was a new backup quarterback to the system or something like that, I'd be less confident. I think that at home, and these are high stakes for the Washington football team. They can't afford to fall to 0-2. No one can. But 2 home games, 5 days apart. That's the one thing that I hate about short week. Because if your team is playing on a Thursday night, going into that Sunday, there's a chance you're going to lose 2 games 4 days apart.
Yeah, right.
And 2 home games for Washington. They need this one. They have to hold serve against the Giants if they want to be what they're supposed to be this year. I know the defense was a disappointment last week. I'm concerned about the extent to which the COVID controversy within the locker room and Ron Rivera's been outspoken. We talked about it on PFT Live. I'm still going to stick with Washington. I can't give up on the division champion that I predicted this early. 21-16. I'll take Washington to win and to cover. West Virginia math skills by 1.5 points.
Boom, you got it. I know. You know, we don't, also like gut feeling, and I think you have it have this as well. Thursday night just always seems to be like opposite night. That's where I really, there was a part of me that was like, you know what, screw the evaluation. Whatever you're thinking, maybe it's the opposite. But I'm going with the team that I think just a little bit better, and you laid it out pretty perfect too. So, all right, we're on the same page to a degree.
1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday, the New Orleans Saints take on the Carolina Panthers. There's a COVID situation with the Saints. A lot of assistant coaches are out. So far, only one player tested positive, Michael Thomas. He wouldn't have played anyway. Saints are 3-point favorites on the road at Charlotte. 44.5 is the over-under. Chris, who do you like?
Well, I do like a lot of what we saw from the Panthers last week. And you know that I'm a Panthers fan. I'm a little bit on that bandwagon right now for the team to watch out for. You know, they won 19-14 against the Jets. It should have been more than that. They let the Jets hang around. The Panthers blew some opportunities themselves early in the football game. But ultimately, the Saints looked too good last week. And the Saints are still elite on the offensive line and the defensive line. And I can't say that about Carolina yet. Maybe their defensive line elite. I'm not sure if I'm ready to go there with their offensive line. Also, it's Sean Payton's offense on the other side of the ball, too. You know, and that, like, I got to think that Dennis Allen, Sean Payton are going to have a good feel for Joe Brady and what he likes to do and attack from that standpoint. And I think the biggest thing to me with the Saints is, you know, Sean Payton's not going to just air it out, I don't think, with Jameis Winston, especially not here yet. He's going to let him get confident. I think he's going to want himself, Sean Payton, to get confident in Jameis Winston that he can trust him to air it out. So I still think he'll stay balanced and try to run the ball and play defense, but have those few calculated big shots down the field. And that's where the Saints are going to be more of a pain in the butt this year than maybe with Drew Brees. Yeah, Drew Brees might have been ding, boom, 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 and I could throw a lot of quick passes and get it out of our hands and be surgical that way. But we've discussed this a little. The Saints, I think you got to defend more of the field maybe than the last few years with Jameis Winston. I think it's a tough physical football game. Saints 24-20.
Wow. So you have the Saints covering the spread by a point.
Yeah.
And you have it closer than I do. I agree with you. The Panthers are going to be pretty good. I'm disappointed they didn't beat the Jets by more than 5. And speaking of 2-point conversions, the Lions get one to kill your best bet.
Yeah.
The Jets fail to get one that would have killed one of my best bets. It just shows you how hard it is to pick these games with any degree of authority or confidence. I've got the Saints in this one, 30-21. I believe in the Saints defensively and offensively. I think we are going to see a little more from Jameis Winston this week. He only threw 20 passes last week. Alvin Kamara, he was a big factor in that win against the Packers. This one should be easier for the Saints. The COVID situation does complicate things with so many offensive coaches out. If it was defensive coaches, I'd be more concerned. It's offensive coaches. Sean Payton can step in and take care of the problem. And Jameis Winston said this week he relishes the fact that he's been able to work so closely with Payton all week with those offensive coaches out. So I've got 30-21. I think we're going to see a little more from Jameis Winston. And I also think that the Panthers, who could have had Winston, or at least could have pursued him in 2020 and didn't. They went with Teddy Bridgewater. Could have pursued him this year and didn't. They traded for Sam Darnold. This is an opportunity. And you know how Peyton is. Peyton's got that Bill Parcells kind of snarky, snide, sarcastic way to stir you up. And I suspect Peyton has probably pointed out to Jameis a few times this week that the Panthers turned up their nose at him twice.
I wouldn't be shocked. You're right. Sean Payton's the ultimate motivator. Probably going, telling the team, hey, we got no chance, guys. Our coaches got COVID. You know, either way, or he's going, maybe we got to buckle down because we got COVID. I think the Saints are a little bit of a team on a mission. I'm with you there. And, you know, we basically have the same thing going on. You just think the Saints will score one more touchdown. Yeah, I think the Panthers are a team on the rise, but not ready for primetime Saints, top of the NFC type football quite yet.
Yep. All right, next game, and this is one of the more fascinating games of the day. Andy Dalton, the former longtime Bengals quarterback, taking on the Bengals for the second straight year. He got to see them last year with the Cowboys. He sees them this year with the Bears. Home opener at Soldier Field. Fans going to be a little salty, a little vocal, a little concerned about what's going on at the quarterback position. You've got Dalton starter, Justin Fields, who knows. Chris, it's a 1-point favorite for the Bears. The over-under is at 45. Who do you like?
Well, I picked the Bengals to keep it close last week. I wanted to pick them to win. I was scared of what Joe Burrow would look like. I'm not scared anymore. I'm picking the Bengals. I am. I think they match up really good with Chicago. The Bengals as a roster, O-line is better. Weapons on the outside. Burrow looks healthy enough. Joe Mixon's a superstar running back. Jamar Chase, he's rolling now. Here we go. And then the other aspect I look at it, and I know I said this to you last week when it came to the Bengals versus Vikings, and I think it's another good advantage for them this week. The Bengals are big up front. I do think they'll be able to slow down the run game of the Chicago Bears. And honestly, the Bengals have one of the more underrated secondaries in all of football. When you talk about Chidobe Awuzie, Trey Waynes, Jesse Bates in the back end, Von Bell, that's a pretty damn good secondary against what I think is a really ordinary pass game. It really is. I think they are going to surprise some people, the Bengals. And not saying they're a playoff team or anything like that, but they're going to hang around against some of these better teams. I think I even underestimated them in the preseason, because there was questions, and I just had to see it a little bit. I'm going Bengals, pulling off the upset. The Bears fans going crazy, ready to, pillage the field and the team because they want Justin Fields. Bengals 23-20, Michael Florio.
You know what? You've changed my mind. And I'm glad you've changed my mind, because if the Bears win, I will blame you all week long, like you blamed me all week long
right.
about changing your mind to go with the Jaguars over the Texans.
Right.
I was ready to take the Bears. I had it typed in tentatively 23-17 Bears, and as you were saying 23-20, I was like, we spend way too much freaking time together. I was locking in 23-20 in my brain. I adjusted it to 2017 because we can't have the same score prediction, but it is the same margin. And the fact that the Bears are only favored to win by 1, that tells me neutral site.
Exactly.
The Bengals would be viewed as the better team.
Right.
And based on what we saw last week, yeah, maybe they are the better team.
I know.
And maybe they are a team that we should be taking seriously. Also, by picking the Bengals, I will have the Bengals fans off my ass, at least for a day or two. So there is value in that, even if I'm wrong.
I'm not going to get obsessed with the names. Bears, Bengals. Oh, the Bears are going to win. From what I've seen through the preseason into last week, the Bears haven't showed me anything good, really, yet. On the defensive side of the ball especially, I think that's the biggest disappointment. I kind of knew what the offense would look like. So that's where, I just can't buy in yet. I got to see it to believe it before I go there.
Bears, Bengals, Battlestar Galactica. Next game at Cleveland, the Texans at the Browns. 12.5-point spread, tied for the largest of the week with the Falcons-Bucks. We'll talk about that game later. For now, Tyrod Taylor back in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield saying yesterday that Tyrod Taylor was taken for granted. Remember, he was the starter until he got injured week 3, 2018 against the Jets. It opened the door for Mayfield to take over. Tyrod gone, goes to the Chargers. Dr. Needle last year, Tyrod gone. Now he's with the Texans. Looked great last weekend against the Jaguars. Who do you like in this one?
I'm going, of course, Browns, no doubt. I didn't look at the spreads before I did this. I wanted to pick my games and not be affected by it. I thought I was picking the Browns to cover. I really did. I have Browns 31-21. I didn't think it would be quite that high, this spread at 12.5. But to me, the Browns are elite. They really are. All the way through. And I think, really, I expect their offense to have their way with the Houston Texans. There was more plays there to be had last week by the Jaguars offense than what they capitalized on. Trevor Lawrence missed some throws that certainly could have maybe changed the game, and he made some rookie mistakes. The Browns are not going to do that. I think they're going to be pissed off with the way they played last week. So I got the Texans covering, but I think the Browns win by 10.
Same score I had, 34-24, same margin, almost exactly the same score. I feel the same way. 12.5 is too much. I think the Texans are going to have a little more than the Browns expected. Could be another one of these ugly backdoor covers where there's a touchdown late that gets Houston within the margin. 12.5 is
a lot
NFL
to
football,
give up
this early in the season.
Right.
And the Texans looked better than a 12.5-point underdog. I think what it is, that offseason of dysfunction, the Jack Easterby stuff, the Deshaun Watson, it's causing people to bet
heavily
the other
against
team,
them, right.
and that's driving the number farther than it should be. So I think there's value in taking the Texans this week. I agree with you. The Browns by 10, but the Texans to cover. Next up, the LA Rams take it on the road to face the Indianapolis Colts. Once upon a time, Robert Irsay owned the Rams. Carol Rosenblum owned the Colts. They actually swapped franchises. That's the connection between the Rams and the Colts. Yeah. Rams are 3.5-point favorites. Over under 48. Seems a little low to me. Who do you got, Chris?
Yeah, it's the Colts, the way they played last week is a little concerning. You know, I think everything I thought about the Colts, and we talked about it a lot in training camp, like there's one star missing on each side of the ball, one difference maker. But the concerning thing was just the way they protected last week for Carson Wentz, the way the offensive line looked. I think that's the most disappointing thing about what I saw. And, you know, Seattle's good. The Rams are every bit as good. We know that. And I think they don't have to necessarily compromise their secondary as much as Seattle does. Seattle just put a lot of people at the line of scrimmage. They kind of confused the Colts. They kind of just put numbers there to stop the run. You know, I just have too much faith in this Rams defense, for one, under Raheem Morris, who's a hell of a good coach. You know, they got some pawns to play with and be a little extra creative than other teams because of Jalen Ramsey, and he can match up, and that allows them to do different things, you know, with the rest of the secondary. And then ultimately, you know, I just think Stafford and the offense of McVay, we saw what Shane Waldron did to the Colts last week. You know, and I don't think it's going to be a whole lot different. McVay, to me, is a little more creative than Shane Waldron. And I go back to, like, when Eberflus was with the Dallas Cowboys as a defensive coordinator. Man, the Rams had their way with that Cowboys defense. I think he cracked the code on it, and I think that's kind of stuck in my head too. So I think the Colts give like a last-ditch effort because they're, you know, at home and they might lose 2 games in a row, but I'm still going Rams 28-24.
Yeah, that's got the Rams covering then. I've got it not as close. I think the Rams are the real deal this year. I said before the season they have to prove it to me. I saw enough on Sunday night that I'm buying it, at least for now.
Right.
Maybe they'll catch up to the Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay pairing after there's 5, 6, 7 games of film. We've seen that from time to time. Maybe Matthew Stafford gets injured at some point. We've seen that many times over the past 12 years. For now, though, he's healthy. The Colts just feel overmatched, and they're one of these 4 teams, Washington, Indianapolis, Buffalo, Minnesota, that have that internal COVID angst.
Yeah.
And you can't draw a line from point A to point B, but you can rest assured it's affecting the team in some way. I got the Rams big in this one, 34-20 over the Colts. And there's a chance, I just got a weird feeling that it's going to be worse than that. That it's going to be one of those, when we see the score after, we're going to say, holy crap.
Sounds like a best bet for Michael Florio.
Well, maybe. Well, we'll see. Maybe the over is going to be a best bet because maybe the Rams will score 48 on their own in this one by the time it's all said and done. Broncos at Jaguars, over under 45.5. The Broncos 6-point favorites against the Jaguars team that maybe would lose to USC if they played right now. Who do you have in this one?
Well, I mean, I can't pick the Jaguars. I can't. There's no way I can do that. You know, first off, Teddy Bridgewater looked good last week. That's the first thing you talk about. The Broncos' O-line is good. It's good. They can run the ball. If you can run the ball in the Giants, you're probably going to be able to run the ball on just about anybody. Giants got the biggest D-line in football. You know that. We talk about it all the time. You know, I'm a huge fan of Mike Munchak, so they're going to have that aspect. Shermer does a really good job of marrying the play-action pass with the run game. Yeah, I just don't think the Jaguars are ready for prime time, nor do I think the Jaguars' offense is ready for this Broncos defense. You know, I know Bradley Chubb, he's got some injury issues. It doesn't matter. They still got 2 good edge guys. You know, Von Miller looked good last week, and they're good in the secondary. You know, and I think with Vic Fangio and the Jaguars kind of being – I don't think the Jaguars can run the ball, really. It just plays more into the Denver's hand. I go Broncos 27-17 here, Michael.
Yeah, look, I feel like this is one where we could end up being surprised. Maybe Urban Meyer can push some buttons and pull some levers and get the Jaguars to do better than they did last week. That game got away from them early. I'm going to have to see it from the Jaguars before I believe it. I got Broncos 31, Jaguars 20. The Broncos, I think, were very impressive last week. Now, they're stuck in a division with the Chargers and the Chiefs. That's not good. And in a conference with great teams. But they got off to a good start. Every team in that division is 1-0. Broncos moved to 2-0 when they go to Jacksonville and win 31-20. Next up, Buffalo at Miami. Miami 1-0. Buffalo 0-1. They got a wake-up call against Pittsburgh. The Bills a 3-point favorite on the road. They got together week 2 last year, and that was the week where you first noticed that the Bills were going to run the offense through Josh Allen. Josh Allen has done very well against Miami. Will he do well enough to avoid an 0-2 start this week? Over-under, by the way, 47.5 for this game.
Big game. Big game. I mean, of course, the Bills, they kind of laid an egg last week on the offensive side of the ball.
I'm surprised you didn't say they crapped down their leg.
They did. Yeah, they crapped down their leg, and I think there was a little piss in there, too. It was a double whammy there, okay? Well, you brought me down there. Yeah. But, no, I think the thing that, I still think highly of the Bills, and after watching Dolphins versus Patriots, the Patriots were the better team on the field during that game, at least in my opinion. They kind of blew the game. 2 turnovers with the running backs fumbled. I believe it was both running backs that fumbled. Either way, there was 2 turnovers, a lot of mistakes. We're in positions to win the football game. And still, I don't know about the Dolphins' offense. I don't know. It's not that I don't know about the offense, but I'm still don't know about Tua. They have to manage Tua. Tua is incapable of really throwing the ball outside the numbers unless it's just hey, Devontae Parker's one-on-one, let me throw a jump ball. Hey, Jalen Waddle's one-on-one, let me throw a jump ball. And I just think between that and I don't think the Dolphins' run game is a real force yet. That plays into Sean McDermott's hands to make things happen. And the last thing is I have a lot of respect for the Dolphins' defense and Flores, but the one thing that I think jumps out is they weren't really able to pressure Josh Allen last year without blitzing or taking chances and putting people at the line of scrimmage. And that's just a no-no. Like, Allen is like Mahomes that way. If you blitz him, you're screwed. You're going to Screwedville. He's gonna throw a rocket for a touchdown. So I think it's a close football game, but I think ultimately I'm going to go with the Bills here, 30-24.
I've got 27-20 Buffalo. Same reasoning. Bills need this one. Sometimes you just need a game. Sometimes you just show up and you let your best players play. On paper, the Bills are better than Miami. And look, I know, hey, the Dolphins are 1-0. You got to give them credit for going to New England and winning. But this is week 2. We reset to 0-0. The Bills got that wake-up call. They got punched in the mouth by the Steelers last week. Josh Allen and company, I think, will be ready to go. They match up well, and the Bills get the victory. On we go to the Patriots, who are 0-1, 6-point favorites at the Jets, who are 0-1. The over-under is 42. This is one of only 3 games this week with both teams at 0-1. Patriots given 6. Do you like the Patriots to win? Do you like the Patriots to cover?
I do. I like both. I really do. Again, you just heard me say the Patriots outplayed the Dolphins last week. They're not going to screw it up 2 weeks in a row. I think that's the first thing I look at. I just don't think the Jets, we saw protection issues, against the Carolina Panthers. This is a good front for the New England Patriots. They're really good in the secondary. I think life will be even harder for Zach Wilson and company. And I worry about the Jets' ability to stop the run game of the New England Patriots, who can almost run it at will against any look. Even when they stack the box, they're still just so well coached and they're so dominant in the run game that they can do that. And I expect them to have a lot of success with that. And then comes off the Josh McDaniels play action pass attack. Also, no team has better knowledge of the Seattle scheme really than the New England Patriots. They know how to attack it. There's a weakness at corner with the New York Jets. I think the Patriots win this 27-14.
I've got 24-14. Same reasoning that you have. Look, you mentioned the struggles of the offensive line. They don't have Mekhi Becton. He's got a knee injury. That makes it even worse. That makes it even harder for Zach Wilson in the second game of his season, getting thrown to the Wolves against Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. Zach Wilson is still going to be very good. It's just going to take a while. And the Jets fans, they shouldn't have high expectations this year. This is about showing enough progress this year so that come next year you can be a contending team. I got the Patriots by 10. You got the Patriots by 13. Either way, we both like the Patriots to win and to cover. Next up, Your 49ers going to Philadelphia. They're in West Virginia, actually down the road from me this week because they're sandwiched between Detroit and Philly. Yeah, like Kyle wants to see me. I can write some annoying headlines for him.
I don't want to say anything because that's Florio will write some annoying headline.
All right, 49ers are 3-point favorites. Will they be annoyed by the outcome in this one, over under 50? Who do you like and by how many?
Well, I think the Eagles are going to be annoying. I do. You know, you heard me a little bit before last week that I think before week one, even underestimated the Eagles. As I kind of dove in for my last preseason, let's do playoffs and watch the preseason football. I mean, the Eagles are elite on both offensive and defensive line. They pose real problems for a defense, and what they did to the Falcons. Now, I know the Falcons' defense is not the San Francisco 49ers, but you have to respect the Eagles' ability to run the ball. I mean, there are so many plays last week where the Eagles run the ball, and I'm telling you, the running back doesn't get touched until he's 7 or 8 yards down the field. Nothing, no touch. And even when he's getting touched there, it's like a hand sticking out, something like that. And then when you overplay the run game, of course, that leads. They can do things where bubble screen to Rieger, the first round pick. What the hell is his name? Devontae Smith. Excuse me. I wanted to say Devin for some reason. And so they have a good little formula. Jalen Hurts. Am I sold on his ability to throw within the pocket? Not like 100% yet. No. But with the way they run the ball and the way the offense sets up, he's not going to need to like pick you apart within the pocket. I don't think. And so that's going to be a big thing. But I think either way, the 49ers are still much better on defense. They're going to pose some problems too. Shanahan, with that offense, without Mostert or whatever, I still think they're going to be able to run the ball. They got weapons in the pass game. We saw that last week and what they can do there. I think this is going to be a tough, tight one. The last factor I'll say, a lot of plays in the pass game last week were Jalen Hurts scrambling, and especially scrambling to his right. There's no way Shanahan and the 49ers and D'Amico Ryans don't see that. They will have a better plan to contain him in the pocket. And I'm going to go 49ers 24-20 here, just barely covering.
Barely covering. I got 30-20 49ers over the Eagles. I don't think that they will let their foot off the gas this week. And I always like those little intriguing threads that can arise. D'Amico Ryans in his second game as defensive coordinator goes back to Philly where he spent 4 seasons.
Yeah,
so
cool.
He's familiar with that venue, that vibe, and everything that goes along with it. But I think the 49ers are the better team. The defense much better than the defense Jalen Hurts faced last week.
Definitely.
When the Eagles beat the Falcons. So I like the 49ers in this one, although it makes me very nervous and likely won't be one of my best bets. The last game in the early window on Sunday of week 2. The Raiders at the Steelers. Steelers 5.5-point favorites in their home opener. The over-under 47. First game with fans that counts in Pittsburgh since 2019, although they had a smattering for a couple of games last year. Who do you like and why?
The Raiders and the Steelers. Of course, the Raiders, hey, they did a lot of impressive things. This is a better defense, though, the Steelers are than the Ravens. I mean, hands down. They will be able to get after Derek Carr with a front four, not have to blitz and all-out blitz and leave guys just on an island with no free safety. Having said that, I mean, as a whole, I still think Pittsburgh was a little bit outplayed last week and a little fortunate. A dumb 4th-and-1 call by Buffalo right around midfield, and, of course, the block punt were the difference of the game. I mean, it was that right there. Bills had a few opportunities to kind of take control of that game. But I have a feeling we'll probably be saying that a lot of teams that play that Steelers defense this year. The thing that I think concerns me and keeps this close, I'm going to pick the Steelers to win, but I got to still see more from that Steelers offense. That was not pretty last week by any stretch of the imagination. So I do think it stays close. I think the Steelers find a way to win, 23-21.
So you've got the Raiders covering, the Steelers winning. I've got Pittsburgh 24-17. My big concern is, and we've said this on PFT Live, a game that went into overtime, a physical game, a short week, a long trip that has to impact the Las Vegas Raiders. It has to impact them, and I think it allows the Steelers to win and to cover. The Raiders are 5-2 in their last 7 games against Pittsburgh, and generally the Raiders have not been good over the years that they've played the Steelers 7 times. I think it goes back to maybe 2009. The Steelers have always been good. So there's a weird little quirk there, but I don't think it matters this Sunday. I think the Steelers get their victory, and they're on their way. They moved to 2-0, and they're a team to be taken much more seriously than I did before the season. Go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing, Mike, just to hit on, too. Like, I know we hit on this, but I think it's worth bringing up to your point here, too. Yeah, the short week, Mike Tomlin knows the John Gruden offense. He knows it really well. John Gruden doesn't know the Mike Tomlin defense because this is not the Mike Tomlin defense. This is the Pittsburgh defense, and I do think that plays in the advantage too. So, you got me thinking about that one a little bit, but just wanted to add that in to our listeners.
Quick break. 4 o'clock Eastern games for Week 2 are next on this joint collaboration, PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned, presented by Under Armour.
Under Armour, baby.
PFTPM, Chris Simms Unbuttoned, presented by Under Armour. Let's get to the late afternoon games for Week 2, the Mega Picks podcast. All picks straight up and against the spread. Still to come, primetime games and best bets. For now, though, 4 o'clock Eastern, Vikings at the Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals making their home opener. The Vikings lost on the road to the Bengals. Cardinals are 3.5-point favorites, over-under of 51. Can the Vikings compete, Chris, with Kyler Murray, Chandler Jones, and company come Sunday?
Well, I want to, this is interesting. I want to lay the floor to you because this is your favorite team versus your favorite player. What are you going to do? Do you love him not, or do you love him today? Or is it going to be Kyler Murray? So go ahead. You lead off on this one just because these are your two favorite people, Kirk Cousins and Kyler Murray.
Now, Mike Zimmer has a very good track record when it comes to containing Russell Wilson. They do a very good job of keeping him in the pocket. They do a very good job of, relatively speaking, keeping the games close. Kyler Murray isn't Russell Wilson from the standpoint of speed, agility, burst, elusiveness. No one is Kyler Murray right now. And the Vikings are going to find that out. If Kyler Murray plays on Sunday like he played last Sunday, the Vikings are not going to be able to slow him down. The defensive backs are not good enough to cover those receivers. And it's going to be a shootout. And I don't think the Vikings have the offense to make it a shootout. The only way they're going to win is if they outscore Kyler Murray. I've got 27-20, Cardinals winning and thus covering. It could get uglier than that. I just think that this is a bad matchup for the Vikings because, really, for as long as Kyler Murray's healthy, every matchup is going to be a bad matchup for whoever plays them. And you're going to have the offense to overpower their defense. The problem is their defense looks pretty damn good.
Exactly.
It's not going to be easy to overpower their defense.
No doubt. And to your point with the Kyler Murray thing and the Russell Wilson thing, there's more moving parts in this Arizona offense as compared to what we've seen in Seattle. I mean, they've been pretty standard status quo, run the ball, straight play action, straight drop back through Russell Wilson's career. We saw last week some variety from the Cliff Kingsbury offense. A lot of different formations, people flying everywhere. They're hard to match up with Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, and then, if we want to bring a fourth one in, we got A.J. Green. It's pretty damn good. Two-headed monster at running back. The only way I see the Vikings winning this game is they will have to absolutely slaughter the Cardinals in the run game, Dalvin Cook and company. And I don't see that happening because of what you said. And added to that, if it's going to become, we're not running the ball that good, but we're going to try to still be effective off of play action, I don't think that's going to work against this crew as much in Arizona. First off, Vance Joseph is a good coach, but the guys in the middle of the field for Arizona, like we talked about all week, are special. Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins, Hicks, Budda Baker, and I think they're going to be all over the play action pass game. So I'm going Cardinals 28-20 as well. And you're right. There's a part of me that thinks maybe it could be another touchdown or so worse than that.
The Vikings, another one of these teams with that in-house COVID controversy. And, Arizona had a little bit of it, but not to the same extent as Minnesota, Indianapolis, Buffalo, Washington. I think that could be another factor as well. And the Vikings staring at 0-2 with the Seahawks coming to town for their home opener. Now, we'll talk about that obviously next week, but the Vikings could be looking at 0-3. They got off to a bad start last year. They could get off to a bad start again this year. Falcons and Buccaneers. The Bucs managed to eke out the victory on Thursday night against the Cowboys. The Falcons looked horrible at home against the Eagles. They get together in Tampa Bay. 12.5 points is the spread, tied for the largest spread of the week. We talked earlier about Houston, Cleveland. Chris and I both think the Texans will cover that big spread. Do we think the Falcons will cover this big spread. Over under also 52. Chris, what do you got?
I don't see it. I think the Falcons are going to be one of the worst teams in football. I'm going to throw it out there. I've kind of been saying that. I think everyone got like, whoa, they got Calvin Ridley and Matt Ryan, and they're going to be good. No, they're not. Offensive line not good. Nothing special at running back. I know they got Kyle Pitts. Everybody wants to just look at fantasy and go, whoa, Matt Ryan, Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, they could be good. Okay, who on defense? Who on defense is really worth a damn? Grady Jarrett? Yes. I mean, after that, A.J. Terrell maybe a corner, but there's just not enough there. Like, no way. Buccaneers are going to whoop that ass. Whoop that ass. I picked 35-20. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 35-14, 35-13, 40-10. Who knows? But the Falcons ain't winning. I know that.
Sometimes when we do this, we are allowed to have a little bit of fun. And I'm going to have a little bit of fun. If Tom Brady can have a little bit of fun when he has a clock behind him that shows that it's 3:28, I can have a little fun, and I can say that the Buccaneers are going to win this game 28-3 over the Atlanta Falcons. And
I like it, yeah.
For whatever reason, that chip that Tom Brady got on his shoulder with the interception in the first half of Super Bowl 51, and there's the photo of him sitting there on the ground, and that hasn't gone away. He relishes beating the crap out of the Falcons whenever and wherever he can. He's never lost to Matt Ryan, either with the Patriots or with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Swept them last year. The run of success continues with 28-3. Wouldn't that be fitting if it's the final score of the Falcons visiting the Buccaneers? All right, Cowboys-Chargers. Sneaky great game.
Yeah.
Because the Cowboys showed us they're better than what we thought. The Chargers, I think, are going to be one of the best teams in the league. 3.5-point favorites are the Chargers in their first game at SoFi Stadium with fans present. There probably will be plenty of Cowboys fans there because they're everywhere. Over under 55.5. This is the highest over under of the week. Who do you like and why?
Well, I like the Chargers, plain and simple. I mean, there's of course the Cowboys are dangerous. I'm not going to sit here and try to be like disrespectful, but I think ultimately the Chargers are the better football team throughout. The one thing I wasn't sure about the Chargers is just I wanted to see the offensive line. They were amazing last week. Herbert, right where he left off last year, just throwing dimes and lasers all over the field. So that's great to see, and I really am a big Brandon Staley fan. You know that from last year. I mean, he is very creative on the defensive side of the ball. He's, disguises well, does thinks outside the box, takes away, what you want to do at a very high level. It's almost Belichickian that way that I respect. I think the Cowboys, of course, are going to make some plays, but hey, this is a good Chargers pass rush. They're talented on the defensive side of the ball, and I think ultimately just the way the offense looked and DeMarcus Lawrence not playing, Joe Lombardi, the offensive coordinator for the Chargers, just came from the Saints. He's going to know Dan Quinn, who came from the Falcons, really well and how to attack that defense. So I'm going Chargers in a close one, though. I'm going to go 30-27. So
you have the Cowboys covering by 1/2 point. You're living dangerously with some of these.
Yeah. All right, let me make 31-27. I'm going to go 31-27 on this one. Okay, this is one I am going to change. I'm going to go 31-27. Right. Yes, thank you, Mike.
I got the same margin, 27-23. I should have kept my damn mouth shut. In the future, I will do what many advise me to do on a regular basis. I will keep my damn mouth shut.
Please do us a favor.
27-23, Chargers. Look, Brandon Staley, I think, should be the favorite for Coach of the Year. If you're looking to make a season-long prop bet at good value, to the extent that he's not the favorite, jump on that now. Keenan Allen gushed about him. I spoke to Keenan after the win over Washington to start the season. He loves what they're doing there. He's been there 9 years. He said this is a great coaching staff, and he didn't want to say anything bad about the past coaching staff, but it's different, and it is game plan specific. And the Rams were distraught to lose Brandon Staley after only 1 year. But this guy knows what he's doing. He's got talented players, and they're still healthy. They may not stay healthy. They're healthy for now. And the Cowboys have all these issues. We talked about it on PFT Live.
Right.
And they don't have DeMarcus Lawrence or Randy Gregory, who's on the COVID list. Their top two pass rushers aren't available. That just plays right into Justin Herbert's hands. And, oh, by the way, Joey Bosa will be coming after Dak Prescott this week if they try to pass it 58 times.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
right.
They'll run it a little bit more. Either way, I like the Chargers. You like the Chargers. I think the over-under number is a little high. Maybe that's going to be one of my best bets. I don't like messing with over-under for best bet, but 55.5 seems a little high to me. Now, you've got them at 58. I've got them at 50, but 55.5 seems high. All right, the last late afternoon game, Tennessee Titans in Seattle, home opener for the Seahawks. The 12s are back in full force. 5.5-point favorites are the Seahawks. The over-under of 54. Chris, who do you have?
Well, I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, how the hell can you pick the Titans with the way they looked last week? I mean, you got to be crazy to think that. You know, the one thing I was impressed with the Seahawks last week was their defense. I had questions about that. This is where I love the Seahawks. They just force your hand. That's where I'm mad I didn't pick them to win last week. I mean, they just play so hard. They're physical. They're not going to let Derrick Henry get off. I would be shocked. You know, they do have some size and some power up front on the defensive line, and they're not afraid to crowd the line of scrimmage and scare you out of the run game, and then you check to a pass or do something like that, and then they drop out. They have a good feel of like when to overplay the run and when to, looks like we might overplay the run, but we're going to drop out and play pass coverage. Titans looked horrible last week. Offensive line looked like S-H-I-T. Sorry. I don't know what to say that one.
Why did you spell it?
Okay. They looked like
yeah, I mean, what's the point in spelling it?
I don't know.
Yeah, all right,
I just want to emphasize it just wanted to spell it out for you. And, of course, the defense didn't look great either. There was no pass rush there. And I think, you know, the balance of that Seahawks offense, and then, okay, they're running the ball good. The Titans are going to get down there. They're going to be worried about pressuring Russell Wilson. And they don't got the guys yet to match up with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So I'm going Seahawks 34-28.
You spelling that word reminds me of one of my favorite jokes from when I was a kid. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
The alphabet. There are certain friendships and cliques that form among the letters of the alphabet. And as it turns out, the letters K and F are very good friends. Do you know why?
No.
Because whenever you see F, you see K. You like that?
I do like that. That's really good. That is. Right. I've never heard that before. That's good.
Let's go. I've got the Seahawks 33-27.
Are you kidding me? A 6-point lead? What are you, copying me today? Jeez, holy cow.
What? Did I say 33-27?
No, you did, but there were 6 points, both of us.
That's the score I picked before we came. The only thing I changed, I copied you on the Bengals over the Bears. I was going to go Bears, but you talked me out of it.
Oh, we're spending too much time together.
We have yet to disagree.
Jeez,
although
crap.
we do disagree on some of the spreads. That's where the difference may be this week. All right, primetime games when this joint collaboration of the PFTPM podcast and Chris Simms Unbuttoned continues right after this. The weekly in-season joint collaboration of PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned, presented by Under Armour, the Mega Picks podcast. We go through every single game. We give you our picks straight up and against the spread. We are up to the primetime games, Sunday night, Monday night. And let's start with Sunday Night Football, a great matchup for Week 2. Kansas City Chiefs at the Baltimore Ravens. The Chiefs are the Ravens' kryptonite. The Ravens had a tough loss on Monday night, and that same mindset we talked about earlier with the Raiders. Physical game, tough game, 65 minutes, short week, fly home, lick your wounds, and put everything back together again and try to get ready for a Chiefs team that they just have not been able to beat in recent years. The Chiefs are favored on the road by 3.5 points with an over-under of 55. Chris, who do you like?
I mean, I like the Chiefs. I just, again, the Ravens, I just don't expect. I went into the year not expecting to see the same Ravens team. They don't match up well with the Chiefs. I think Wink Martindale is going to have to reinvent what he wants to do on defense because of the injuries, because of the lack of pass rush. They're going to have to find a new formula. It's scary. It is. I don't know how they can pull this off. I mean, they're not going to get there with their front four. Like, this is where the stats lie. There's like stats out there. Oh, Calais Campbell had all these pressures last week. He didn't do it when it was a 4-man rush. He did it because they blitzed 8 guys sometimes, and he happened to be the guy that got free, or there's just a mosh pit of people, and he gets to squeak through. I don't see it with their pass rush, and Marlon Humphrey is the only real elite secondary guy they have there. That's just not a good formula for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And on the flip side, Mike, the Chiefs, they have a big front. I know the Browns ran on them last week, The Ravens' offensive line is not the Browns' offensive line, nor is it as versatile in their running attack. Yeah, they have Lamar Jackson, but here's the difference, too. Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, I think this is where the Ravens' lack of creativity and versatility in their pass game comes to hurt them in this kind of matchup. Spags has been able to find ways to get people at the line of scrimmage to stop Lamar Jackson, but yet having a good feel in those formations of what they're doing in the pass game. So he can put people at the line of scrimmage to stop the run, but then drop people in zone to still stop the Greg Roman pass game, and it's a little predictable that way. I think the Ravens give a last-ditch, tough effort. They never give up. But ultimately, the Chiefs, I just think, are a really tough matchup, and I'm going Chiefs 35-24.
I have same thoughts, same reasoning, same everything. Not the same score for a change, although the margin is similar. I've got 31-23 Chiefs. We both like the Chiefs to win and to cover. It could get uglier than that. I'm assuming that the Ravens are going to be able to muster some offense, but I worry about that team. I worry about them getting away from the things they're trying to do. They're trying to diversify the offense. I think there's a ton of pressure on Greg Roman. And for as strong as the Ravens have been to start the regular season in recent years, losing that game after they were up 14-0, that has to hurt. That has to sting, and it's going to be hard to turn the page on a short week with the Chiefs coming to town. I just think it's going to be very, very difficult, and the Chiefs are the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are the kryptonite for the Ravens, and the Chiefs got their wake-up call but still won. The Ravens got a wake-up call and lost. The Chiefs got a wake-up call and won. I think they go in and win this one.
Yeah, good point.
Fairly easily. And I hope it's close. I hope it's exciting. I hope it goes down to the wire, but I have a feeling that it's not going to. All right, Monday Night Football. Desperation time already for the Green Bay Packers. Home opener at Lambeau Field after getting the crap kicked out of them on Sunday of Week 1, 38-3 by the Saints. They are 11-point favorites against the Detroit Lions. 48.5 is the over-under. Chris, who do you like and why?
Well, I'm going to pick the Packers, but I'm not going to pick them to cover. I'm not. The Packers are just one of those teams. Again, I got to there's a feel of just like they're not hitting on all cylinders. It just doesn't seem like it's there. They didn't do anything. Oh, wait, shocker. Wait, the Packers didn't do anything to improve their football team this offseason. Really surprised. Oh, that's right. Just ride number 12 again and make them make magic happen as usual. I mean, the Packers are freaking annoying to me. They really are. But, I think I look at the Lions and go, I think the offense has got a little more talent than maybe I gave it credit for. They got a pretty good offensive line. TJ Hawkinson's real good as a tight end. I'm feeling Packers, but I think the Lions are going to be a pain in the butt and at least hang around. I'm going to go Packers 28-21.
A similar mindset for me. I've got Green Bay 34-24. I can envision a backdoor cover like what the Lions did last week. The Lions are never going to quit. They're never going to give up because Dan Campbell will run your ass out of town if he sees you loafing, if he sees you lollygagging, if he sees you doing anything other than trying to bite someone's kneecap off. So I could see the Packers run up a lead, and I could see the Lions scratch and claw their way back into it and cover that 11-point spread.
Right.
Hey. I also could see it being a disaster for the Packers. Let's see. I mean, we're assuming that what we saw week 1 was an aberration. And as I've said, California and Florida under Matt LaFleur, the Packers are 1-5. Everywhere else in the world, they're 27-4 over the last 2 years.
Right.
So there's no reason to think that the Packers are going to stumble against an overmatched team from a talent standpoint. I think the Packers will win. Don't think they'll cover. If they were getting anybody else this week on their home slate, I'd be very concerned about them falling to 0-2.
I'm with you. And, let's not forget this point, too. You made a lot of good points. And, who did the Packers play last week? The Saints. Who's the defensive coordinator for the Lions? Aaron Glenn. All right, so he's going to be able to take some things from their game plan and figure it out. Now, they're not as talented as the Saints, so he's going to be compromised in some ways, but I would think there's some carryover to like him having some feel for how the Packers attack. But, yeah, I'm with you. I'm not feeling the Packers either. I'm not, and there's just something there that's missing, and it's a little concerning with the way they looked, the way they acted after the game, Rodgers saying no energy, everything that goes along with it. So, yeah, I think they win, but I don't think it's going to be pretty.
And the other thing to keep in mind, to the extent that his absence from the team, his total disengagement from any on-field work, either official or unofficial, yeah, that sets you back, but now that you're in the season, you're getting there. You're working. You're at practice.
Right.
You have games. Even though it didn't go well last week, some of the things that didn't go well could help them springboard toward what they need to do, and they get the extra day to get ready for it. I think they'll be fine for now, but then it's a California trip next Sunday night on NBC when the Packers go to San Francisco. That may be a different story altogether. Let's take a break. We have just a little time to finalize our best bets and our weekly Folsom Prison Blues pick. The one game that we would wager our lives on this week. Fortunately, we were both right last week, so we're still alive. We'll be back with more PFT.
No guarantee we'll be alive on Sunday, some guy said once.
All right, PFT PM, Chris Simms Unbuttoned, joint Mega Picks podcast presented by Under Armour. Best bets time, Chris, where I am ahead 2-1 versus 1-2. And I got lucky and you didn't, or it would be the other way around. But this is where we call our shots. The 3 games, or over-under, whatever it is, against the spread or over-under, the bets we would make this week if we were inclined to do so. You go first. What's your first selection for this week's best bets?
Like it's like a weird week because I have I feel like 5 or 6 options, and it's just like, man, I hope I pick the right ones because there's some I feel good about all of them. All right, well, the first one I'm going to go with is the Bucs over the yucky Falcons. I mean, yeah, 12 and a half. I don't care. I think it could be 20. I got them winning by 15. I just think they're going to dominate the Falcons football team. So that's the first one. I'm riding the points with the Bucs.
Well, you know what? I'll match you there. And we've done that from time to time where it's that slot machine effect. So we're both locked in with the Buccaneers logo. When they make the graphic, we're going to have the pirate flag because I've got 28-3, and I firmly believe the Bucs will cover that spread, win the game easily because the Falcons aren't very good. And because it was so close last week, I think that's even more reason for the Buccaneers to blow the doors off the Falcons. All right. What do you got next?
And extra days to prepare, right? All right, so my next one, I'm going with the Patriots. You know, again, the Jets score was misleading last week. You know, yeah, they made a late push, and Zach Wilson threw some lasers to make the game, good. But the Carolina should have controlled that game more. They left some opportunities out there, and the Patriots outplayed the Dolphins. So I'm going Patriots as my next best bet.
And here's where the slot machine falls apart. I'll go Rams, giving 3.5 on the road to the Colts as my next best bet. I feel good about that one. Last one from you.
Okay, my last one, I'm going with the Broncos. I am. I liked everything about their game last week. Really good defense. Offense is explosive. You know, I don't even think they played their best ball. There was some mistakes they made. But the Jaguars, lack of great pass protection, lack of a run game, I just don't see it. So I'm taking the Broncos as my third one.
I'm nervous about the Jags covering in what becomes a test of pride type game for them after what happened last week. I got the Chiefs giving 3.5 to the Ravens. I think the Chiefs win by at least 4, if not more. So that's my third one. All right, Folsom Prison Blues, the one game that you would take straight up. The winner you guarantee, and you'd put your life on it.
That's the Bucs. That's an easy one this week. I mean, I can't shy away from that one. So Buccaneers all the way to whoop that ass of the Atlanta Falcons.
Swamp ass, since they're playing in Tampa. I would prefer that if we didn't have the same game again like last week, but I also prefer to be right. I'll take the Buccaneers as well. So that's it.
We like
Chris,
being
great
right.
work as always. Check us out at profootballtalk.com and enjoy the games.
See you
soon.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.